But if you do that, you get it with a very powerful and very lightweight interface between the systems. The same PHP was able to be leveraged to be used by the mobile devices just by reskinning it with different layers of CSS and a few other methods. And this gives us a pretty dynamic environment. So, I really just sort of skimmed very quickly through all this. I realize it's a lot of information, detailed information to cover at 3:30 in the afternoon. But I hope I imparted that as a platform, FileMaker is very well positioned to interact with a really wide range of different systems that are out there. And you know, we have lots of choices of technology to use that are all very well accepted, from PHP to JavaScript to Java to whatever. And if you manage the risks, the projects will succeed. So thank you very much. Are there any questions? Did I talk your ears off?
What hosting solutions do you end up coming up with?
We just went with a different one that was better.
Was that difficult to do the transition from one host to another?
Copy and paste, you know, we just upload. We were during development, it wasn't during production, so it was no big deal. You know, we had issues like we didn't allocate enough RAM. You know, we didn't buy a big enough package for the amount of RAM, so concurrency became an issue because these hosting providers limit how much RAM you have and so forth. But you know, that's all easily, you know, relatively easily solvable now. Yes.
When you're designing a system where you're going to include data from an external system, about how much time do you allocate to analysis of, because I know how much I allocate as a rule of thumb for each data source.
Well, since I live in this space like all the time, it's usually, I've gotten a pretty good intuitive feeling now for when there's the initial inquiry and if I say, hey, can you send me, if I'm talking to a technical guy and I say, hey, can you send me the WSDLs and the XML schemas, if they give me a, oh sure, no problem, and we updated them last week, here you go, you feel one way. If they go, huh? You feel totally different. Okay, if you're talking to the business person and you don't have access to the technical people, then you have to write the email to them to say, here's what you need to ask for, and then you look very carefully at what they send back. So I do that before I quote. Okay, and then I budget based on you know, what they actually need to do.
Okay. So my personal experience has been it takes 1 man-month of effort for each interface that I have to produce, that I have to consume.
Well, either you
Just average.
Okay, I don't think it's been that high for me. But you may be dealing with more complicated interfaces. There's some out there that are incredibly hairy, so which would easily be a month or more. So I think it depends on, and in many cases, especially from the FileMaker world, in many cases we don't need to implement the full API. We like 2 methods or 4 methods that we're working with, because you know maybe the organization has this massive thing, but we only need to get access to a small piece of that data. So one of the early tasks is to isolate what methods we need to support. And I'm trying to be very consistent here when I use the term element. I'm talking about like an XML element, or method is the SOAP method, or PHP methods, which is the way the specifications are written, as opposed to say script or function. Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, I hope this was helpful or useful.
Yeah.